Good day, thinkers. Welcome to another episode of Think Heroes. And today we have Tatenda Mavasa, who's the finance manager at Think. And we just having a conversation with him about TB and also about his purpose, about his goals, and also about the work he does at Think, and also the impact he does at Think. Good day, Tatenda.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm good, and you? So, before we even go further, can you just tell me about yourself? Tell me who is Tatenda and how did you get to be here at Think?
Thank you very much, Ati. Good afternoon, thinkers. So my name is Tatenda, like you already said. I've been at Think since January 2021 as Grant Finance Manager, working mainly on the USAID projects and any other assignments that come up in the finance department. But I am mainly focused on the USAID TB loan project.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've been here, as an NGO. The reason being, I've always seen the kind of work and the impact that NGOs do around the world. And working on TB and HIV, and those two being very serious diseases in Africa, I've seen how the kind of work that is doing to try and put these two diseases under control, which has in fact reaped so good results, as we can see with the work that we are doing, not just us as Think, but other partners as well that are supporting us and that we work with. So we have seen that, or I've seen that the kind of work that we're doing right now is actually, improving livelihoods in terms of we are seeing that some parents are living longer even though they've been diagnosed with either TB or HIV. Which is really assisting in a good way, because kids that used to be left leading households at very young ages, that is not happening anymore. Thanks to the kind of work that I think is.
Can I sometimes, as for example, in terms of NGOs, how important is being a financial, making sure the financials of the company, especially an NGO like Think, are in order? Because again, NGO, people feel like an NGO is more, how important it is for financials to be in order. Because I feel like for the work to be done, the financials have to be in order. For the work to be impactful, for us to be more effective, the financials have to be in order as well.
Yeah, that's correct, Ati. Thank you very much for that. So not just in NGOs really, but if you look at any organization across the world, across the board, anybody who wants to see how well an organization is doing will look at the books. So it is very important that Think keeps their books in order, keeps their policies in order and in check, because then that gives confidence to funders to know that if they pour their resources into Think, they'll be, number one, used for the purposes that they have been intended for, and secondly, they'll be, channeled properly, because there are policies, guidelines, and checks that any other person wants to see if they invest in any organization. So I think Think's policies are good. Think's policies are perfect. They need to be continuously improved, because there's nothing that is always 100%. The effort that we continue to put here as a team, with the support also from the program's colleagues, is magnificent, because it continues to help us to improve our systems on a daily basis.
Talking about policies, Think policies, the culture I think is different compared to other organizations. Because when I came in, I'm very new at Think, and you know this. The culture is very different. It's not as top down. It's very flat, and there's this person. Anyone can have an impact or input, and they can even make a decision, depending if they actually ask other people who are also committed to the decision they're making. So how have you been able to adapt?
Well, like you said you're new at Think, but I believe in any space, a person can only be new for one day. When you haven't met other people before you're meeting them for the first time. But once you're here, the environment here makes you feel that you've been here forever. The colleagues here are very helpful. You don't feel lost, because every time you get stuck, there's always somebody willing to help you. I've seen this for the past 1 year, like I said, and I hope I've also made others like yourself that came after me feel that way, because it's just a matter of one day when you get there, we introduce this is Tatenda. That's the only day one can be new. Otherwise, from there, you get the ball rolling.
So we're having this conversation, I think, in more meetings and also in private spaces where men are are more reluctant into going seeking health services, or even seeing a psychologist, or even going to go test. I'm not sure if there's this conversation also happening around, again, your friends on the brain. Maybe is it something you've noticed or something you've picked up? Men are more reluctant and more skeptical about going, especially because the health service is more for women, a lot of women nurses are more for women. How do you feel like about that?
I think that is generally the trend.
Yeah.
Either men are, in most cases, reluctant to go test.
Yeah.
For reasons really that vary. It could simply be because people are just in fear, or they don't have proper knowledge of knowing that when they've gone to test and they've been diagnosed, there is life beyond that. To the extent that in some cases you see people doing what we can call proxy testing, that they can ask their wives, or when their wives get tested and they come out negative, then they say they are fine because they are fearing. I don't know, it could be just that men could be, I don't know, it could just be a trend.
Really. They also fear maybe of losing income if they found.
Yeah, well, to some extent it could be, but as far as I know, the law in South Africa and in many other countries does not jeopardize your work status depending on what status you come out with. But look, I'm just saying there could be a wide range. Really, it could be ego for some men. It could be many things, like I'm saying. But I think at the end of the day, that notion or that pattern is wearing off because people are getting more and more educated. People are getting more and more, conscientized about the idea of the fact that, these diseases that we have are being controlled. They're controllable, and they are more manageable. Once you've known your status, because you can't manage something that you don't know. So I think that's. From that point, a lot of people are really taking off the fear jacket, and they are pulling their weight to make things right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken before about family.
Yeah.
How important is family to you, and also family support? Because again, as men, and also just people in general, we need their support, especially living with someone. Let's say you have a family member who has TB. How important to you is family, and also in terms of just the support you get from them?
I think family is everything. Somebody has said before that family is where we start and family is where we end. So family is where we belong. This is why I think the support that we not only get from our families, or that people get from their families, but also how much support they give to their families, because this is a two-way thing. Generally, where I come from, normally if you support others, you find that people tend to support you as well. So whether in good or bad times, or whether you are fine or you're not, that's, openness in families is very, very important for me. And I think it's and besides, no man is an island. We all need each other. So I think just to say that the family is not only where we come from, but also where we're working. Because we spend most of our awake time here, for example, I think, which is about 8 hours of the day. You get home, you stay for 3 hours, you go to sleep in the morning, you wake up 1 hour, you're ready to come into work. So at the end of the day, family is not just those people that we grew up with or where we come from, but I think people that we work with as well, because we create here life-lasting relationships, which are very, very, very important. So on top of the support that we get from our friends and family outside of Think, it's also good to make Think a family environment in terms of how we interact as colleagues, because we support each other even in the same way that we support or that we get support from our families that we grew up in.
In closing, now March is World TB Month, and also on the 24th is World TB Day.
Correct.
What would you say to someone who maybe is not aware of World TB, is not aware it's World TB Month, and also for someone who's actually has TB? What would be your words of encouragement to them, and also so people don't know about TB? What would be your lasting words?
I would encourage people that are that need, if there is need for testing, so that like I said, that once you know something, or once you know your status, be it not just of TB, but with any other disease really, to go and get tested. I think the medicine world is really, really evolving and coming up with a lot of innovations to manage these things. So I think my parting shot or my encouragement to those that could have been diagnosed with it is to follow exactly what the medical experts say, because that ensures long life, that ensures a poverty reduction, because the longer we live, the more productive we become, and the more wealth we create, not just for us as people, but for the country as a whole, ultimately for our continent. So I think at the end of the day, it's not embarrassing. We are not at stages where it's still embarrassing. The stigma is to some extent gone down because people have got a better understanding. So I would encourage people, colleagues, friends, family to take it up, to go and get tested if there is need, and follow exactly what the medical experts are recommending.
That's amazing.
And yeah, that's good.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, thinkers, for watching. I hope you've been watching the whole interview because I've been inspired. And one thing that came up for me is as men, we need to have a conversation around TB, and also just about the things we deal with. It's important for us to have a support system, also to go out and go test without any fear of maybe losing our jobs or anything else. Just go out and test. Also have this conversation to break the stigma around TB as well. And if you can you please comment below, and also just say anything, any comments would be very, very much needed. Thank you so much.